Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Azam Khan. Here's a look at tonight's top stories. Long queues into Cross-Harbour Tunnel on the first weekday for e-toll system, but commuters say they arrived earlier. Chief Executive John Lee looks to step up post-pandemic ties with Singapore. And 11 dead after the roof of a school gymnasium collapses in northeastern China. Chief Executive John Lee says Hong Kong should step up relations with Singapore as he met the city-state's leader, Lee Hsien Loong, this afternoon. The SAR leader will continue his Southeast Asia tour by visiting Indonesia tomorrow. Chloe Wong reports.
How are you? Good to see you in Singapore.
Singapore may be Hong Kong's top rival, but Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong made sure his visiting counterpart was given a warm welcome. He shook hands with Chief Executive John Lee, who has been leading a delegation of SAR officials and business leaders to the city-state. John Lee then introduced his cabinet to the Singaporean leader, including Deputy Financial Secretary Michael Wong. Following half an hour of talks, the two leaders then sat down for lunch at the Prime Minister's office. John Lee said the purpose of his Southeast Asia trip was to build friendship and strengthen partnership. Lee Hsien Loong echoed his views, saying the two financial hubs needed to join hands, especially after COVID. After lunch, the Hong Kong delegation made their way to the headquarters of the Main Heart Group, a leading engineering firm in Singapore. Lee once again thanked Singapore for supporting Hong Kong in its bid to join the regional comprehensive economic partnership.
At the business dinner this evening, Hong Kong and Singapore will be signing 7 memorandum of understandings on trade, financial services, fintech, INT, research collaboration, and more.
Lee and his delegation will head to Jakarta tomorrow morning before visiting Malaysia. Chloe Wong, HKIBC.
National Security Police have questioned the family members of fugitive businessman Elmer Yuan. They included his son, Derek, and his daughter-in-law, Eunice Young. Young, a lawmaker, said that around a dozen police officers showed up at her home this morning with a search warrant. She and her husband were then brought to a police station for a meeting. Young insisted she is innocent and would fully assist the police in investigation. Sources said Mimi Yuan, Elmer's daughter, was also taken away by officers after she arrived from Los Angeles in the early hours of this morning. Police are offering a bounty of $1 million to anyone who can provide information leading to the arrest of Elmer Yuan. It was a mixed experience for commuters on the first weekday since an electronic toll system was launched at Cross-Harbour Tunnel. While the backlog of vehicles stretched as far as 2 kilometers at one stage, some drivers said it was still faster as the flow was improved. Macy Mock reports.
Tens of thousands of commuters entered uncharted territory this morning as the 50-year-old Cross-Harbour Tunnel began its first weekday of operation under an electronic toll system. Many drivers were not impressed, however. It's the same, said this taxi driver who was earlier caught in a jam. But another cabbie had a pleasant experience, saying he saved 5 minutes for a trip to Wan Chai, as cars no longer have to line up at the toll booth. At the start of rush hour at 7:30 a.m., Hong Kong-bound traffic at the Hong Kong Toll Plaza was still smooth. But traffic soon began to build up. By 8:30 a.m., the queue has extended some 1.3 kilometers away to Princess Margaret Road near Oi Man Estate. The situation further deteriorated even as the morning peak was over. At 10:30 a.m., the tailback reached the Pui Ching Road flyover, around 2 kilometers from the tunnel entrance. This man, who took a bus from Ho Man Tin, said his journey to Hong Kong was 15 minutes longer than usual. We also invited Automobile Association President Ringo Lee for a test run. Setting off in To Kwa Wan, our vehicle sailed past the East Kowloon corridor and even Chatham Road North, where a backlog of traffic is common. We finally ran into traffic at Hong Chong Road, not far away from the tunnel. From there, the lanes began to merge, first into 4 and finally 2 at the entrance. In the end, it took us around half an hour to arrive in Wan Chai, marginally faster than before. Lee said it was too early to gauge the impact of electronic toll on the busy crossing, as it had only been implemented for 2 days. Transport Commissioner Rosanna Law said over 5,200 vehicles passed through the tunnel between 7 and 8 a.m. She added the situation will further improve once the toll booths are demolished and the lanes widened. Maisie Mock, HKIBC.
11 people were killed, most of them students, when the roof of a middle school gymnasium collapsed in the northeastern province of Heilongjiang. 8 others survived, and parents are now accusing authorities of lacking transparency in the aftermath of the tragedy. Chloe Fong reports.
Scores of parents waited at the hospital, desperately begging staff for news regarding their children.
在这个4个小时、5个小时，甚至6个小时啊，这时间里边，谁都干啥了？都在干什么？
This father, who had been waiting for more than 5 hours, still did not know if his daughter was dead or alive. He eventually learned at midnight that his child had no vital signs when she arrived at the hospital in the afternoon.
你们在这里边干什么？让你们在这干什么？你们当密探吗？你们能摸情况吗？
The father and other parents were also upset that police officers were deployed to make sure they did not make a scene. His daughter was among 19 people inside a gymnasium at the number 34 middle school in the northeastern city of Kikihar, when the roof suddenly collapsed. Authorities in Heilongjiang province were alerted at around 3 p.m. Sunday, but by the time emergency personnel arrived, it was too late. Only 4 people escaped the freak accident, with the rest trapped under the wreckage. According to local media, most of them were members of the girls' volleyball team who were training for an upcoming tournament. 14 of those trapped were located by this morning. 4 of them were certified dead at the scene, while 6 others passed away at the hospital. The last missing student was also found at about 10 a.m., but she too could not be resuscitated, taking the death toll to 11. State media reported that a construction company building a teaching complex nearby has been held responsible for the tragedy. A preliminary investigation found that the firm had stored loads of perlite, a construction material, on the stadium's rooftop. Experts believed the mineral, which is highly absorbent, soaked up rainwater and became much heavier, exceeding the roof's loading limit and causing it to cave in. Police have now detained personnel from the firm, but did not specify how many were in custody. Chloe Fong, HKIBC.
Overseas, Spain faces an uncertain future after neither side was able to secure control of the parliament in the latest election. The opposition party declared victory, but fell just short of the majority needed to topple Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez. The celebrations were rather subdued for Alberto Núñez Feijóo and his supporters, even after the conservative leader declared victory in the snap election. That's because Feijóo's Popular Party won 136 seats, and even combined with 33 seats from the far-right Vox Party, the bloc still fell 7 seats short of a majority in parliament. The result was a surprise for Vox, who lost 19 seats compared to the last polls in 2019. That means the opposition party has failed to topple the government led by current Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez. Supporters of his Socialist Workers' Party rejoiced in the capital Madrid as the prospect of a hung parliament loomed. The ruling party won 122 seats and was also unlikely to form a coalition government. Regardless, Sanchez declared that the results showed that the people rejected misogyny and social regression that the far right was touting. After 4 years in power, his Socialist Party lived to see another day. For now, Spain will not join other countries in the European Union like Sweden, Finland, and Italy, which have recently moved to the right. Both Sanchez and Feijóo will remain busy in the coming days as they try to woo their allies and form a coalition. But shall they both fail, another round of elections will be held, possibly later this year. Hong Kong stocks started the week with big losses over concerns of an imminent rate hike by the US Federal Reserve. The Hang Seng Index dived 2.1% after hopes of more concrete stimulus measures from the mainland began to fizzle out. Real estate stocks were hit hard, with Country Garden dropping 8.7%. Its property management arm, CG Services, even went into a free fall, losing 17.8%. Local developer Sun Hung Kai Properties was down 1.7%. A ripple effect dragged Henderson Land 1.9% lower. Now let's take a look at the markets. The Hang Seng Index closed down 407 points. Top 10 active stocks, Tracker Fund was down 43 cents, Tencent down $8. AIA Insurance finished down $2.90, Ping An was down $1.30. Forex trading against the Hong Kong dollar, the euro is at 8.67, the Canadian dollar at 5.92. And over in the UK markets, the London FTSE is currently down 20 points. On to the weather now. The hot weather is not going anywhere for now. Temperatures will range between 28 and 35 degrees. Persistently very hot in the following couple of days. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for Monday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Azam Khan. Thanks for watching. Good night.